It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchendu. Thanks a lot for joining us. Yes, elections are hot again in the air. I know we've talked a lot about other things this year with regards to the coronavirus, but politics is seriously back, and the Edo State elections are back in focus. It's a couple of days away, and the candidates have been saying so many things. A lot of cross-carpeting has happened, confusion across board for a lot of people who are watching from the sidelines, trying to understand, how the elections will pan out. But the day of reckoning is very close by, and I'm going to be joined today by a lot of people who are sort of insiders and know a lot about what's to come with regards to their candidates and parties, and hopefully selling for the last time to people of Edo State why their candidates should be preferred.
Today on Rubbin Minds, the focus is on the Edo State elections. The Edo people are set to take the polls come September 19th, just a few days away. Ebuka Obiuchendu chats with representatives of the various parties and a good citizen of the state who has his opinions on their manifestos. They outline their agendas, they spotlight the work they've done, what they plan to do, and they might even poke into the work the opposition has done. Up next, Ebuka chats with Ukinebo Dare, Baron Mike, Bright Omori, Peter Agwebo, Endurance Itiku, Usayuame Aladeshelu, next on Rubbin Minds, in association with The Future Project. Enough is Enough Nigeria.
Can everyone hear me? How are you guys doing?
We're fine.
All right, thanks a lot for joining. And of course, Peter Agwebo is also here with us. All right, thank you. Let me start with you, Kinebo. You are a supporter of the PDP, a member of the party, I believe. Just quickly as you can, tell us why the PDP candidate should be preferred and what this mega means.
Fantastic. So, Mr. Godwin Obaseki is the current governor of Edo State and the PDP candidate. For us, for him, mega says we're making Edo great again. And a lot of people say, well, let me not say a lot of people, some people have said, so what were you doing for the past few years? And the main thing about making Edo great again is that we are not just we're not just paying lip service to that phrase. Where the governor is coming from is the fact that Edo King, our forefathers, hundreds of years ago, already had a very standard civilization in place. We're already doing business with the Portuguese. We already had diplomacy. We already had invention. Edo has the largest man-made earthworks in the world, which is the Benin Moat. And he keeps on and continues to say that the same blood that was flowing in the veins of those people who did all those things, that same blood is still flowing in our veins today. So Edo should be at the forefront of productivity. Edo should be at the forefront of innovation. Edo should be at the forefront of everything that is happening in Nigeria and in Africa. And that is where we are already taking Edo State to. So if you look at it, even just in the first 4 years, in areas like education, in areas like job creation, Edo is already leading other states in Nigeria. And that is because that is the vision and that's where we're going. So that's mega.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me come to you now, Endurance Itiku. You are of the APC. I talked a lot about how candidates have continued to move from side to side, almost made the voters not sure anymore what the parties or the candidates even stand for. So what's your candidate bringing to the table and what's the plan?
All right, Ebuka. Yeah, if you look at our candidate, Pastor Sagi Izeyamu, he has been able to, of course, he has been in the state since birth. So he has been able to look through the gray and the key areas where Edolites are lacking in infrastructure-wise, education, basic education-wise, healthcare-wise, and we have lots. So he has been able to coin it in a single document, which he called the Simple Agenda. By saying Simple Agenda, we don't mean it's simple like ABC. Simple is an acronym that coins all the places he has looked and he knows he's willing to touch, because the Simple Agenda is a time-bound document, which is a social contract between the candidate and the people of Edo State, which you can hold him responsible after his tenure or during his tenure and say, okay, these were the things you promised, but where are they today? in the simple agenda, S stands for security and social welfare. We cannot have a state that thrives without security, and we cannot have a state that thrives or should be in the roadmap without social welfare. The R stands for infrastructural development. Of course, if you have been in Edo or been to Edo or seen Edo on realistic TV or on the internet, you know that we lack this basic infrastructure. So Pastor Sagi Ezeyamo has been able to look at these gray areas to know how we can touch these areas and see how you can work on the infrastructure of Edo State. The M in the simple means manpower development. Manpower development, you can't keep calling our youth tout and never well to do. You need to see that the youth are the future and the bedrock of our country, of our state. So Pastor Sagi Ezeyamu will empower the youth, those who are well trained, skillfully trained or unskillfully trained. They will make them, they will integrate them, rehabilitate them if possible for those that need it, and integrate them into the system to see how they can make good use of the youth and other people that need a job or manpower washing. Here in the P, we have the public-private partnership. Pastor Sagi Ezeyamo intends to make use of both the private sector and the public sector to make Edo State work better again. We don't just have a government where we begin to sign MOU and simply on paper. Pastor Sagi Ezeyamo and Madam Gani Aroju intends to make use of the P, which is the private-public partnership, to make Edo State work again by bringing in companies and investors. Of course, S, which covers security, is still applicable here. You cannot attract private investors in a state that has no security. You cannot invite private investors in a state that lacks manpower or infrastructure, like we say. So you can see the connection between the simple agenda. The L means leadership by example. Pastor Sagi Ezeyamo is a well-grounded politician who has been in the state, he has been running politics since the beginning of the Second Republic. So it's not just about being a politician. He would lead the people political wise, in social, economic, ethnicity wise, and so on. Then the E is simply empowerment. He's going to empower Edo people. So you can see that with this power-packed simple agenda, you know he has a plan. It's a social contract. You can hold him responsible.
Okay.
So that's that for now.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me come to you now, Bright. You are the ADP. Most people think it's the outside party. There's a lot of talk about the PDP and the APC. What is the ADP bringing differently?
Yes, anybody can have their opinion. Outside parties, whatever. But our goal is that we want to bring transformation to those. That is why we have the transformation agenda. From the primary body being our candidate, he's a young man that is full of vision, that is of strength and energy. He has been a part and parcel of Nigeria politics. He has worked with several agencies here in Nigeria. We have a lot to offer, like the clamor for the younger generation to come up is there. And then it's going to be touching a whole lot of areas of development as far as the state is concerned. In our agenda, we have agriculture, we have housing scheme. It's not just enough for us to pay salary as at when due. We must look into the future of our workers. We are having a housing scheme whereby they can, within the space of 20, 25 years, every person in the civil service have their own houses. And we are also looking into security. We want to partner with the local vigilante to boost our security architecture.
I say, what do you want to hear from these candidates? Because I know you seem undecided. You are not sure where the wind is going to blow you with regards to what the candidates have to offer. What are you trying to hear from the candidates?
We are also asking questions on how they intend to deliver their campaign manifesto to the good people of Edo State if being elected, because it is not only for a candidate to have a manifesto. We also need to know how this manifesto will materialize, because it is easier said than done, you know. So we are actually looking keenly, asking questions on how these political candidates will deliver their campaign promises as trying in their own manifesto. So we are ready by September 19. like you know, is a secret ballot. So Edo people will go and vote on that day.
Okay. Osayome, we've heard the mega and what they say the PDP candidate has to offer. Like I think the question everybody has to ask is why should we believe things this time? I mean, this is the second tenure, like the previous speaker said, Okene, but why suddenly make Edo State great again? Why didn't that happen from the start?
Okay, thank you. So the mega stands for making Edo great again. It was deliberate to say making because it's a process. And we believe that, I mean, if you want to build a house, you can't just wake up and build a house in 6 months. You have to do it in a time frame that permits. So the essence of saying making Edo State great again is that the process has begun and we want to complete it to the extent that another tenure would allow us. And that's why it is making Edo State a grain, because we have started, His Excellency Governor Gordon Obaseki started it when he came into office, November 2016. And we can see from the strides that the government has made that there have been changes in different sectors. And so because of that process, we want to continue. And that's why it's in the present continuous making Edo State great again. When His Excellency came into office, because he's the kind of person that believes in people coming together, there was a strategy dialogue, and people from different sectors and organizations, including the civil society organization, sat down on a round table and came up with things that the Edo State would need for development across different sectors. So, I mean, there was the development of a thematic pillar, which was 6 thematic pillars looking at the economic revolution, infrastructure development, social welfare enhancement, arts and culture, and institutional reforms. And activities have started in this in the 6 thematic pillars. I want to ensure that we do much more to complete what we started. Yes, I won't say that everything can be completed in the next 4 years, but to the extent of which the tenure will permit us, that is what we are talking about, making Edo State great again. If you come to Edo State, looking at the 3 senatorial districts of Edo State, you will see that there's been developments across the different sectors. One will not say that everything has been complete, and that is why His Excellency is seeking a re-election. And so the essence of saying that is we are making work that we have made, not that we didn't start, but we need to continue the process.
Right.
A twin mantra and a twin manifesto to mega is Edo first, because His Excellency believes in putting the Edo people first. Thank you.
All right, let me come to you now, Mike. You, I know, work very closely with the APC candidate, and a lot of people have talked about the fact that he seems to just be a career politician who just wants power, which is why he keeps moving across party lines just to get to what he wants. How do you convince a voter to say that, okay, he actually has the interest of Edo people at heart as against his own personal ambition?
Thank you very much. You've asked a very brilliant and sensitive question. First of all, I'm very sure that a lot of Edo people know that Osage Iseyam is not a career politician. If you say career politician, you're talking of a man that basically lives on politics and has nothing else to do. And it's on record that in Edo State, he is one of the biggest agripreneur, if you want me to use that word. He's the proprietor of Isle Farms, and he's the chairman of Isle Ventures, a chain of a business with different affiliation. That they don't see him on signboard or talking on TV or, jumping from one conferences to the other, doesn't mean the man is into business. Pastor Sadi Iseyam is a businessman over the years. Going from the days of in the 80s, he has been in business, and he's someone that I appreciate, if not for politics. Osage Iseyam is a very private person, and for him, it is not necessary to be talking about his business adventure here and there. And talking about moving from one party to the other, of course, if it was a crime, our constitution would not have permitted such. Like you have seen recently, the governor moving from the APC, a party where he was voted for as a governor, and moving to PDP, basically to pursue his ambition, basically to pursue his goal. And that is what every Nigerian is entitled to. Isn't just moving into a party that he has nothing about. He was one of the foundational members of the APC. As a matter of fact, the legacy parties that finally turned into APC, he was the one representing one of the people representing the ACN bloc of that particular party. So coming back to APC, he's not joining a new party. He's just coming back to a party he helped to form ab initio. So it is not about moving from one party to the other. Of course, your drive for the people can help you, can make you go so far. If it is about him, if it's about his family, I'm sure the man does not need to take all of those risks. So for his politics is not his business. He's a businessman, just as a family man. And about moving from one party to the other, being his constitutional right, it's a vehicle for him to bomb the Edo that he has long conceived with other good-minded Nigerians. So it is not about because he wants to be heard of, because he wants to be popular, or because he wants to reach. It is about the fact that he has conceived an agenda way back 2016 that is measurable, that is accurate, that is reliable, and that, of course, that is time-bound. So Edo people will be happy when, in the time they have a governor who is able to translate Edo from where we are now into a place where you don't need to over-explain, but you can just see that things are working. You can just see that our industries are working. You can see that our education system is viable. You can see that everything about the security. I mean, the total pack for Edo, that is what the simple agenda is bringing. So if moving from one party to the other will bring it to reality, of course, we are here, we're in the APC today, party we have to form, and it is a home, it's a comeback to a home that we once had, and for disagreement we left, but we are back now, and everybody, we are all happy. So we are waiting to deliver for those people what belongs to them. So the society is here to deliver, and of course, we are very sure that after November 12, a new Edo will be one that is realizable, and in reality, people will see that the state, of course, can work and it can be better and can move forward.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. We're going to take a break now. You're watching the Edo Focus Group special right here on Rubbin Minds, in association, of course, with Enough is Enough Nigeria and the Future Project. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Rubbin Minds, the Edo Focus Group special in association, of course, with Yaga, the Future Project, and Enough is Enough Nigeria. We're talking with a lot of people who are insiders, I want to believe, with parties that are going to be going head-to-head in the Edo State elections today. And we're going to switch up the conversation now and go into more detail. And I want to come to you now, Osayome. To be more specific, how many jobs have been created in the last 4 years, and how are these 200,000 jobs going to be found?
Okay, thank you. I think Ukunebo will be more appropriate to answer, because that's her portfolio.
Okay, Ukunebo, can you take that for me?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. So the governor promised in 2016 to create 200,000 jobs in 4 years. And I mean, that was one of his major goals. I think number one on his agenda was education and then job creation. So for job creation, the first thing we did to be able to achieve that was to do a proper assessment of the state across all local governments. We did this in partnership with a program called MADE, which was sponsored by DFID. So together we were able to assess all the local governments and determine what areas had the highest potential to create these jobs. And based on that, we designed the program. Now, another thing we did was to go around the state and get people in rural and urban communities to come out and register, give us the demographic information so that we know who the people looking for jobs are, what kind of jobs they're looking for. So then Edo Jobs was created. Over time, Edo Jobs has now become a full-fledged government agency known as the Edo State Skills Development Agency. So far, we have over 161,000 beneficiaries of Edo Jobs, and we have been able to create jobs in manufacturing, construction, in entertainment, in IT, and in, different sectors, basically in agriculture. So how did the governor achieve all of this? Basically by tapping into the natural endowments of Edo State. Our natural endowments such as our location. Based on where Edo is, we are a hub, we're a transportation hub for Nigeria. We are a hub for the power infrastructure in Nigeria. The governor partnered with an organization like me want to bring fiber optic broadband so that we can leverage on technology people into the fourth industrial revolution. So we do a lot of skills development, job placement, skill acquisition programs, entrepreneurship development programs. So I'll just give you a very quick rundown. For example, the Edo Innovation Hub has partnered with organizations such as Google, Facebook, Amazon, Uber, and so many organizations, even local organizations like the local Edo State GSM association. And what we do through this innovation hub is, first things first, to get people skilled in tech skills, everything from artificial intelligence, data science, to phone repair, and then help them to either start their businesses or work in the economy.
Okay, sorry to cut you in there. Sorry to cut you in there, Okinebo. Peter, you hear things like this and you still seem sort of not fully convinced about the governor. Why? 161,000 jobs sounds very impressive, isn't it? Or are you saying that's not true?
For the job creation, as been said by Mrs. Okinebo Dare, yes, over the years, Edo State government has created job. Yes, we know of that. And however, she definitely still will be in the best position to tell the Edo people the type and kind of job that have been created, if it's a white-collar job or not, if it's a retirement job or not, if it's just an empowerment program.
Sorry,
we see
you're on the ground there. Do you see these jobs being created is what I want to know.
Yeah. Seeing jobs being created is, I think, we should have an M&E to actually monitor and evaluate these jobs if being created. However, that is not to say that some of these jobs that you have said are not visible, because when you go to the Edo Innovation Hubs, you see programs running over there, and I think these persons were not just trained on an empty ground. However, the magnitude of the persons, or rather the number of persons that have been employed, categorically, Peter Owagwebo may not be able to say as regard that.
All right. And Jorans, how do you as a party, or how does your candidate plan to top something like that? Because, she did list in detail where these jobs are and what the plans are going forward. How does the APC plan to top that?
Even if in real life, I don't, although I know of a few people who has benefited from the Edo Job initiative by the Mr. Governor. Pastor Zagi Yamu in his simple agenda has first of all brought, like I said, the E in the simple means empowerment. By saying empowerment, we mean job creation, restructuring the thinking of most of our youth, which some people call thugs and tout and the rest of it all. But in real sense, they are not tout. You can't tell me that you empower a man and he won't want to leave the street and make something productive for himself. So Pastor Sage Yamu and the APC, using the simple agenda, we address the issue of job and reduce drastically the unemployment rate. Yeah, like he said, on the S of the simple agenda, he rightly said that using the security, that's the S in the simple agenda, he's not only going to depend on the force on ground or the Nigerian army or other security parastatals. He's going to empower vigilantes in our various communities. Yeah, if you've been to Edo, you know that aside the urban areas, we do have some rural areas. Even the urban areas do need security touches. So it's going to empower trained youths and empower them and give them the basic etiquette of community security and policing. I don't know if there's a word for that, but instead we empower youth in the E in the simple agenda, and S in security is going to give youth and our local vigilante relevance like they've always they've always been known to be. Yeah, so Pastor Zagezamo, he has been an entrepreneur, like my brother Mike rightly said. He has a farm, a well-working farm, the IO farms, that's still running up to today. So he's an agripreneur, he's a farmer. He will revive the agricultural sector. The agricultural sector will also produce many job opportunity for people, both farmers, skilled, unskilled people. So the Nigeria that we are now, you don't need to be a white collar job person to survive.
Sayome, I know we've talked about the fact that the APC candidate has moved across board a couple of times. I mean, it's the same thing for the PDP candidate or the governor right now. And the question of loyalty comes to mind. Yes, there might be great things that he might have done or might questionable things, whatever it is, but loyalty. And there's also the belief that for the Edo people, if he goes in there, who knows whose bidding he's going to be doing by the time he gets in there, because the last time he was there was probably someone who put him in there and all of those conversations. How loyal is Governor Obaseki to the Edo State people?
Thank you, Buka. So, like I said in my last statement, that His Excellency, the silent, it's not really silent, but the second, the twin manifesto and mantra is Edo first. Looking at what Governor Godwin Obaseki has been doing and the personality of Governor Obaseki, you would know that he's the kind of person that has the people at heart. I can tell that for a fact. Now, changing parties, I mean, when there was an issue, there was a clamor by the Edo people that they want him to be the governor, and there was a clamor of people in the rural areas, people in the urban areas, people in the 7 urban areas, that this is the person they want. And so, I mean, whatever platform he's going to be on, they're going to support him. That's on one side. The second side, to loyalty to the people, is the fact that everything Governor Obaseki does as a governor is always about the people. Now, for different programs and projects that His Excellency has taken, you could trace it to the fact that all he's thinking about is how it's going to affect the people who need the project the most. When I started my statement, I mentioned the fact that he called stakeholders together. He didn't just sit down in his office and just say, this is what I want to do, I can do it, I have all the ideas. But he called people. There was a roundtable meeting, a dialogue of all stakeholders. Every sector was represented, and because he wanted to make sure that the people's voices were reflected in that paper. And that's what we've been following. That's what came up with the 6 thematic pillars.
Okay,
now,
sorry. Let me just jump in here very quickly. Sorry. Just looking at the APC, their plan. I mean, they have the simple plan, and the first word there is S, which is security. So it's pretty clear that there might be security issues in Edo State. Why has this not been addressed, and what is the plan for security in Edo State?
So Governor Obaseki is very much concerned about the security of his people. Like I said earlier, I mean, there are plans and there are activities that take place when we start from a process to another. One key thing that he did was the Wabazigan, a local terminology for giving the security architecture a face and the necessary tools that they needed. So the Governor Obaseki actually put in funds for vehicles, funds for training of people, for people of Edo State. So you see that even the police, the army, all of them that are in the states were given some of these vehicles off to the bikes that they use for making sure that they are able to access certain areas. Of course, it's not that they are everywhere, they are ubiquitous, but to the extent of which that has been done, he put in a lot of funds for that. I mean, and he also ensures that he communicates with the security team. So every time there is, or even during the COVID-19 era where we had the shutdown, the lockdown, the partial shutdown in Edo State, there was always the meeting we had with the security team for the state to ensure that things are going on smoothly.
Let me come to you, Mike. Okay, Okinaba, you want to quickly say something very quickly?
Yes, please. Okay, just to say that the investment that the government has made in security actually was already yielding huge results. Before Governor Obaseki became the governor, Edo was popular for the wrong reasons, human trafficking, kidnapping, and all that. But Edo had already become the safest state in the South. It's this political season and the political actors who are trying to force their will on the people that are causing all this unrest. And the question is, are we going to sit by and watch people who are disturbing this peace that we have been enjoying, the peace that has brought in all this? We have, I mean, this administration has attracted so many major investments into the state, including the Osioma power plant, including a refinery, so many investments. And that's because they were already testifying to the security and safety that Edo State was enjoying.
Right.
And we have to protect that by keeping them there.
Mike, do you agree that Edo is at least was the safest state in the South until the elections started heating up?
Well, if I agree, it would be a case of injustice to all those people who have been caught between the whole security trouble. For instance, a former commissioner and a former chairman of a local government in Edo was kidnapped and killed. No, they are not east. And up to date, those who perpetrated those heinous acts had not been unraveled. If you go to the Bini Auchi Road, it has become a den of kidnappers. Day in, day out, people are reportedly kidnapped. In Edo State, a judge, a federal judge, was kidnapped with a policeman killed. I can go on and on and on talking about the spate of insecurity in Edo. So if I dare agree that Edo is safe, it will be injustice to thousands of people who are living under fear in Edo State.
But is it also fair to say that things have gotten worse since the elections started heating up, and your candidate and your party might have something to do with that?
No. It's not true. It's not true that Edo have been safe. For instance, how can you say Edo have been safe until the election? The election, the build up to the election, when the election, when the campaign starts, and when was this man killed, and when all the reports, for God's sake, Edo if you cannot say Edo is safe, it was safe, and now it's not safe because of elections. I mean, which of these things are even related to the election? Which of these crimes, the kidnappings, which of them you hear of robbery in some pockets of areas, the herdsmen, they're having a free day in some of our rural environments, and you are saying it's election. If you go to ODD in Edo State or their Northeast, you are going to be shocked that people have been sacked from their rural dwellings. Some of them have had to go to nearby villages because herdsmen and cattle rustlers have pursued them from their land. What is political over that? What is politics over that? And when you hear that courtmen and women are killing themselves, slaying themselves freely in the street of Edo, and you are saying that's political, there's nothing political about that. It is just because our security outfit is sick. The governor received security vote of about between 500 million to 600 million every month, and we see people being slain in their homes. A lady was assaulted. After the assault, she was killed in Edo, raped and killed. Her head, was smashed with a fire extinguisher. Is that insecurity? Is that insecurity because of politics? We should be able to tell ourselves the truth, because if it is you today, it is not you today, it may be you tomorrow.
Peter, let me come to you. As an Edo indigene and Edo resident, what would you say is the most important thing for an Edo voter today? Is it education? Is it security? Is it healthcare? Is it infrastructure? What is paramount on every Edo State voter's mind right now?
Okay, first, I would like to speak a little on this security. Over the years, our elected leaders have actually failed us woefully in the area of security and other aspects. Edo is not safe, and Edo has never been safe even before now. Not even within 4 years or 8 years. It's a pity that we are coming out to say that Edo it has been a safe place before the election. What has been happening in Sumuma, where court killings reported on a monthly basis, and there are no issues being addressed. Mr. Governor should at this point know something clear, that is the chief security officer of the state. And when anything comes up, he must be held responsible. Providing a vehicle for for the police, it's not for us to say he has tackled security challenges. Will you call a dog Musa and expect him to behave like a good man? No, it's a dog and should behave like a dog in respect of the name you are giving to him. So without mentioning words, the security attention of the state has not been a better one. We hear of Fulani estimate everywhere. Go to Ovia Northeast, go to Ovia Southwest local government area, go to Olugo. These things have been reported on a monthly basis. You can even check on Google how many arrests have been made, how many persons have been prosecuted. Now the election time you see is even easier because we know that when it comes to court clash, those states will always be on the news. These same court boys are the ones they are using to cause electoral violence in those states. So before now, Edo have been peaceful, and yet it's still not peaceful. Yeah. So looking at your question on what Edo people expect to see from our elected leaders, it is a pity that those states that today still do not enjoy basic infrastructure. We still buy water. We still go to borehole with our jerry can to fetch water. We don't even, in fact, light is a bigger problem. We know it's a federal thing and the other issue. But these are the great. I mean, it's a pity that government will come and tie a road with 10 million, for example. They will spend 8 million in commissioning that road at this level.
Thank you very much, Peter. Okinebo, there seems to be a lot of disagreements with a lot of the points you've raised. Obviously, security or the lack of it is a big issue for people of Edo State. Before the elections, probably gotten more intense during the elections. And from what we read and from what we see and what we hear, I don't think there's any party that's not guilty of this. The governor is still in charge of the state. What is he doing? I mean, you're saying things were safe until the elections started. Let's even assume that's the case. Why is the governor not in charge, and why is Edo State not safe through the elections?
Thank you. So very quickly, in terms of security, I think we're really underplaying the things that the governor has done. Now, apart from the Wabaiziga providing not just cars and gunboats to protect the riverine area, so many things have been provided to the security agencies. The governor also set up something called PUSWOV, safety volunteers. Now, these are over 5,000 young people in every local government, in every ward of the state, and their job is to give the security agencies information. And these are all the things that have been done over time that actually made a positive impact on the state in terms of security. There have also been multiple training programs with international organizations for security agencies in Edo State, and every single day the security agencies are working together to even if we look at it in terms of this political season, things were really terrible at the beginning of the political season. But because of the structure, the security trust fund structure that the government put in place, creating interaction between the police and all the security agencies, and the information that is continuously feeding that structure from the pool of volunteers, this situation is constantly being addressed.
We're going to take a break now and come back to our Edo Focus Group conversation in partnership, of course, with IAGA, Enough is Enough Nigeria, and the Future Projects. Don't go away. All right, let me come to you now, Sayome. We've talked a lot about infrastructure and security. I know the governor does get some accolades here and there about what he's done infrastructure-wise. But I've not heard anybody here say anything about education, about healthcare. These are things that are very fundamental, to the growth of any state or any nation. And what has been done with regards to these? I mean, we're right in the middle of a pandemic. Labs were lost. Healthcare is very fundamental, whether we like it or not today. And going forward, I believe this should have been a learning curve for a lot of people in leadership with regards to what was to be done with regards to healthcare and, of course, education. And I'm not hearing anything from you guys about that.
Okay. Thank you, Buka. Thank you for bringing that up. So, like I said, one of the 6 thematic pillars of Governor Baseki's administration was social welfare enhancement, and that social sector, which is also part of his mega agenda, is healthcare, education, social welfare, and all that. So I'll take it from health. Remember, I said that His Excellency believes in Edo first. He believes in the people getting what they need to get. And one thing that His Excellency believes in is the bottom-up approach. So he believes that even when you want to do something, don't start from the top, start from the bottom. So for education, let me start with education now. He looks at the fact that for basic education, and His Excellency keeps saying that, he says, if I have 4 naira to put in education, I'll put 2 naira in basic education, because he believes that that is the root, that's the background, that's the foundation, and he believes that that is where you should focus. And that gave birth to the Edo basic sector transformation, Edo basic education sector transformation, popularly known as Edo Best. Edo Best, they trained over 11,000 teachers to teach those in the primary school to know about new pedagogical skills and using digital methods, and so each teacher that was trained was given a tablet to teach. And the essence of that was to ensure that there is a form of uniformity based on their curriculum, based on their attendance, based on new pedagogical skills, and looking at PPP, he partnered with some private organizations to ensure that that was done.
Thank you very much. Let me come to you, Mike. I haven't really heard from you, Mike, or Endurance, or any of the other speakers saying categorically that this governor has failed. And I'm hearing all of these things from Osayome and Ukinebo, saying all of the things that the governor may have done in the last 4 years. Are you saying that he has failed? And even if he has, most people say 4 years is not enough. I mean, we had a former governor's family member famously say that if he failed, he should repeat for another 4 years. I mean, is 4 years enough to achieve all of these things, you think?
Government is not rocket science. So when we are talking to ourselves, we should be able to understand that there is need for us to put up verifiable data. For instance, when they tell you about healthcare, I was expecting my co-discussant to start naming the strides that have been achieved. Oshiomhole built the central hospital today we have in Edo State was built in 1902. Now, between then and now, there have not been, except when Oshiomhole did that path that was built, there have not been any major repairs, there have not been any major work done on that hospital. And that is the central, the specialist hospital where we all have access to. Now, I was expecting that for a governor that promised to replicate specialist hospital in all the 18 local governments, I was expecting to hear the one that have been constructed in my local government in Obia Northeast. I was expecting to hear the one that was constructed in a neighboring local government, where I know virtually all the time was. I was expecting to hear that in Obia Southwest, they no more go to central hospital, they no more go to private hospitals. I was expecting to hear that all over the 18 local government, people don't have to travel down, except when it is very urgent and has to do with more professional hands. Like we have always talked about a simple agenda. For instance, if we want to do security, we want to talk about security. We started with security. Our governorship candidate, by the grace of God, the next governor of the state, he has reiterated always that if we partner with neighborhoods, people in neighborhoods, to make sure that we get on-point assessment, number one, to know what is happening there, so that if we have to react, we know where and how. For instance, the vigilante, we have many vigilante groups. I wanted to hear that they have been empowered, they have given vehicles and arms and everything. We have not seen that, but we want to do that. We want to maximally use the vigilante groups. They are not just there for being there sick. We want to use them. They will join the conventional security outfits. The police is there. The army, the NSCDC. We want to work with these people. We want to employ Edo youth. Not the one you say you have a 192 word, but in my word, they cannot tell me who is the poor member there because I live there. I'm a village man, I go to the village. So we want to, what we are doing is a simple agenda. The simple agenda has addressed most of these issues. We are not just talking. And we are praying that the Lord will give us the opportunity to implement our minds, which we are preaching this book.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to sort of round up things now and go to something that's very touchy, something that unfortunately has sort of overshadowed the entire process of these elections throughout this. And I want to start with you now, Peter. We're talking about godfatherism. There's a lot of talk about, that basically every candidate seems to be tied to someone's apron strings. Every candidate who's running for office in Edo State right now is answering to someone. And their loyalty lies there first before the Edo State people. Peter, tell me what your thoughts on how the Godfather syndrome has affected the Edo election so seriously, and what you think is going to happen going forward.
Without mentioning words, we need to know that there is no individual, be it academics, in academic sector, in the political sector, in the economic sector, there is no individual that do not have an affiliation, either as to a person that seems to be his godfather, his godmother, even goddaughter and godson. So the issue is that it shouldn't have a negative play in the development of our state as it used to be in the days of 90s. Let me not mention anybody's name, but we have previous governors in the state who have actually allowed the fatherism to affect their administrative duties.
So are you not worried? I know you are giving us all of this history. I'm just wondering, are you worried about how it's affecting things now? Is what I want to know.
Of course, we used to be worried, and we are still worried on how it's affecting things now, and how it's also going to affect things in the nearest future after the election. The PDP and the APC candidates definitely will have one or two godfathers. However, none we can say is a godfather of Mr. Godwin Obaseki, and none we can also say is a godfather of Pastor Sage Iseamu. However, we know they have political colleagues who, like Oshomole, is a political colleague to Iseamu. He has also been a political colleague to other persons. And we also know that Obaseki has a political colleague. So they are in best position to now tell those people that these persons are their godfather, or this person is their godfather.
All right, let me round this up now with Okinebo. Governor Obaseki, I mean, we know very publicly of the fallout with the former governor, Adams Oshomole, who of course was also chairman of his party. There's a lot of talk about how there was the alliance, or he was the godfather and installed the governor, which has now ended badly. And he's sort of moved again now to a different party with new alliances, or colleagues, like we're calling it here today. Why should people have faith in him now?
I think Godwin Obaseki has proven beyond all reasonable doubt that for him, he is loyal to the vision, to the goal. He's loyal to the people of Edo State. Like I say this all the time, if Godwin Obaseki could sacrifice the people of Edo State to please anybody, he would still be in the party he was coming from. Because he could have easily just said, okay, you know what, I give in to your demands. I'm just trying to work for people. You guys are disturbing me. You know what, just take whatever you want. But he was able to stand his ground at the risk of everything he's been through so far, when he could have just gotten a ticket to run for second time on a platter of gold. So he has proven beyond all reasonable doubt that he will stand for the people of Edo State and stand against godfatherism. But more than that, a lot of people only know that he's standing against godfatherism in politics. But he's standing against godfatherism in all its forms. For example, just wait 1 second, before you could become a permanent secretary in government, which is still the case in so many states, you have to know somebody, you have to be connected somehow. But he came in and was the first person to say that to become a permanent secretary must be done on merit, which means the permanent secretaries wrote exams, and those who deserved it got the positions. The same thing in education. The reason why we have the education sector was facing so many problems, people were being posted to schools based on, oh, help me, post me here, this is where I want to be. So you have schools with too many teachers, you have some schools with no teachers. And that's all based on, oh, I know who and I'm connected. The same thing when it came to job creation. And Godwin Obaseki is pulling down all those structures and saying, let the will of the people stand, let's do what is right for the people, and let's spend the people's money, the state's funds, on the people of the state. So as far as I'm concerned, it is very clear on which side of the divide we're going to have a godfatherism problem, and on which side of the divide, which is Mr. Godwin Obaseki, the man who will stand and make whatever sacrifice he has to make sure that benefits go to the people free and fair.
Thank you very much, Okinebo. Thank you very much, Asayo Ahmed. Thank you very much, Mike, Peter, and Endurance. And unfortunately, Bryce, we couldn't hear a lot from you, but it's been a very good conversation. Thanks for keeping it civil. I hope this sort of civil conversations translate to election day. We're trying to have a free and fair election, most importantly, violent free. I don't think any elections are worth dying for. I don't think any candidate is worth dying for. So as much as you guys have expressed this sort of civil behavior here, I hope you also translate it to your colleagues and to all your party members in Edo State, and the whole of the country is watching and hoping for the best. Thanks for joining us today, all right? Thank you very much. All right. That's our conversation for today. Thanks a lot to all our guests and, of course, to our partners, Enough is Enough Nigeria and the Future Project. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next Sunday.